Hello everyone who has come to the channel walking through the psychological valley of the Banking Academy blog group. We are very happy today to appear on the weekly news to introduce to everyone the most popular psychological topic that exists alongside the adult anxieties of students.
As you know, controlling oneself is the greatest victory and also the most difficult victory of human life. And the enemy inside each of us takes many forms, from invisible fear, the shyness to the chances, to the negative ego that never favors an open heart. Since it's our first part, we bring to screen a portrait of our biggest and toughest enemy, which is ego. Because the ego is an attachment so deeply ingrained in our human subconscious under many different circumstances. There's an emotional catalyst that the dangerous chemical reacts so strongly with the brain and controls momentary thoughts and actions. However, what we did in the past, there's no way to change it. I hope you can understand the importance of ego control in the university environment before making a decision. Expand your horizons when working in the future.
To the topic, we'll give you some of the most honest view about the reality of the ego that overwhelm reason and affect the life and study of students. So, what is the current status of this problem?
The higher development in all aspects of society has young people to have a fuller life physically and mentally. They are also more confident when expressing their ego, more confident in their abilities and doing what they want. However, when the I is expressed in an exaggerated way, it can easily lead to selfish disease, only loving yourself and not caring about the people around. Showing the ego is necessary in the formatting authority, but how it is expressed appropriately is what matters. Showing me must first show people that me is different from anyone else, not touching with anyone. Therefore, many young people have tried to find ways to express their ego in the most clear way. In an Eastern society these days, young people are still under pressure from traditional standards, and Vietnamese society values that everyone is more than anyone. Meanwhile, social networks do not require individuals to show their real identity. Therefore, this is a tool chosen by many young people as a place to reveal their rebellious selves. There are many cases where individuals reveal a dynamic me with a different personality than in real life.
Besides the positive aspect, the student ego also reveals undeniable limitation. I seem to be belong in the community. This is often confused and harmony, but not. There is a disappearance of a separate individual into the group and give rise to a sense of right. To depend on the community, to no longer be an individual in the group, but as a member of the group, individual opinions disappear and are replaced by passivation and collectivization of individual thought, from self to non-self. That can be easily seen through typical group work assignment. Individual opinions are expressed timidly, and they almost no defense of their opinion in front of the group. Group members easily compromise for themselves to accept some idea that accepted by the group, issue without objection.
Second, with the integration of society, new ideological trends have flooded into Vietnam in a large number and have a strong impact on the thinking and action of young people. This is an opportunity for the ego to assert itself, but it is also the factor where the me can be negatively impacted. To express their ego, many people use customs, clothes in special shapes. These egos become too big the students themselves find ways to express it a bit excessively beyond social norms. Somewhere, we still see images of teenagers with tattoos all over their bodies, blue or red hair, wearing weird clothes, walking swaggeringly in the middle of the street. We still see teenagers who are lazy to study, lazy to work, but ready to burn the best day of their youth into useless game, even living loose and depraved lives. Most alarming is that nowadays many young people are addicted to games and Facebook, but as psychologists say, in real life they live in a visual reality, but in virtual life they live in a real life, killing their own youth with visual values on social networks. Today's students have had a lot of opportunities to show their abilities, prove their ability among countless fields with different strengths. But somewhere you have not grasped how to control ego makes self-praise a kind of flattery, an inherent way of self-love. In family relationships, a negative ego makes it even more difficult for family to gather and have a sharing sessions. As students themselves, they will not be measured enough to see the good that their parents want to say, but most of them turn to the more negative direction, which is the rejection and the subsequent control of their parents on them. Moreover, in life, parents are clearly the previous generation. They cannot let their children fall into temptation or make mistakes that they have experienced or witnessed. But youngsters' ego is too big to prevent them from doing so. Either the listening and absorptions of young students, they will only listen to themselves and not pay much attention to advice from their families. So how was it during university? It is undeniable that at this time, Gen Z people are always confident and desire to express their ego to affirm their position and value among countless other individuals. The generation hates dimming because dimming means loneliness, less attention. They raise the importance of personal ego and they rely on it to chart out the most true path for themselves. The ego for young people is the touch that lights them up from being lost when following the crowd. But if any young person can handle these things, isn't the problem is too much ego not being talked about much anymore? In fact, the percentage of young people who cannot properly control the ego is quite high. Moreover, they deliberately let the ego dominate their reason, let it decide all the action and properly pat the chest. This is me. The students are really not satisfied when they are not the center of the presentation, not satisfied when they are not the ones to come up with great ideas, dissatisfied when their own opinions are inferior than others. The negative ego makes students always form the thought of putting others down, always thinking of themselves as the navel of the universe and individual differences that will lead them to success. But these are typical misconceptions for students who are not clear about their true worth and where their true strengths lie, but they just blindly follow their very simple desires. So how can we limit or, in other words, control the rational ego when dealing with life situations? The ego is the reflection of who we are, and the ego has a very strong ideological connection. It's really not an easy thing, is it? However, in the world, there are not only good things in the world, but there are bad things in parallel. The appearance of bad things is responsible for defining what good means to mankind. The ego is the same. We should not abandon or completely eliminate it, but accept it as if it were a part of ourselves. The ego that helps define the person's place in this world.
The ego acts as toxic in our life and it has power to destroy you in various ways. So, the earlier you get rid of your ego, the better you turn out yourself. The first thing you need to do is get less personal about things. Some of you take it too literally. Avoid doing something like that. You should learn to be at peace with yourself. also know that people don't always mean what they say. Sometimes they are just angry and upset, so they behave in a certain way. If you take it too personally, you will end up getting hurt by the end.
2. Accept all your mistakes. A good way to work on all your ego problems is by accepting all your mistakes. Do you know that everyone at certain times goes wrong and it's very natural to commit a mistake? But being stubborn and selfish about it is not a good thing. It does not matter if you are a parent, a teacher, or the boss. You should be humble enough to admit where you have gone wrong. Go and apologize to the person. It will feel light and stop all your false ego from controlling your life.
3. Stop being afraid of looking silly. One of the biggest mistakes egoistic people make is living in the fear of looking silly. It is often associated with pride, since proud people are always so worried about making a fool out of themselves. And if you haven't been feeling like this for a while, then stop right away. Don't worry about looking dumb. The more conscious you are, the higher your chance of looking and feeling silly in front of others. So the key way to becoming less egoistic is being less afraid of such silly feelings.
As you are all aware, the ego is a very smooth operator and would like you to think that easy to let it go. There are people who have fallen for this, including myself. There are times when I try my best to just let it go away. It will probably leave you alone for a day, and right the next day, you will find it crawling back to you.
5. Knowing that you aren't the best. It is very important to be aware of your limitations. You should know that you aren't the best at everything, and there will be people who can do things better than you. But also remember that you probably aren't the only person feeling like this. Everyone is not good at something, and that is absolutely okay.
6. Stop bragging. It is great to have a very high self-esteem and feel great about all accomplishments, but bragging is just foolish and not needed. It is known for boosting ego. If you really have done something great in life, chances are people will come to know about it and will respect you all the more if they get to know how humble you are about it. So don't constantly talk about how great you were when you went up for that speech or presentation. The lesser you brag about yourself, the more humble and less egoistic you will come across.
Imagine that your university results are out and you top the class. Obviously, you will be credited greatly for studying and working hard. But also remember that there is someone else who is equally as hardworking as you are, but is not standing in your position. If you begin to think of things in this way, chances are you will have better control of your ego and balance your emotions at the same time.
Okay, so we have completed the journey to reveal one of the most common and difficult psychological syndromes to deal with today. Hopefully, you guys can gather some more information for yourself and as well as have a new perspectives about this existing friend in their own subjective thoughts.
Okay, so the newsletter of Banking Academy Rock Group has come to an end. I hope you will support us a lot so that we can develop more next issues, as well as we comment some suggestions so that our work could be more perfect.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to our further. One thing is for sure, that your feeling for us will always be cherished and an invisible motivation to push the blog team to success.